What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday service. Obviously, you have me here, Cody Barton. Myself and my partner, Pace Morby, have been running Sunday service here for the last couple of years, and I'm super excited tonight. We have a special guest on, and we are going to be breaking down a subject to deal. And I think it was what, North Carolina? Ted, correct me if
Nope.
I'm wrong.
North
Perfect.
Carolina.
Awesome. So we're going to be breaking down a North Carolina subject to deal, why this deal was bought, why the deal made sense, where it came from, all that good stuff. So we'll dive into that. But I do want to say for anybody that maybe you're tuning into Sunday service for the first time, welcome. I would also let you know we are on Spotify and iTunes. So if you are driving to or from work during the week, you can check us out on there as well. And as always, we love to take questions from each and every one of you as we're going through this. So feel free to ask the questions, preferably related to the specific topic on hand. We may open it up to some general Q&A here towards the end as well. But we're going to jump into talking about this North Carolina deal. I actually invited Matt on with us as well, so we're making a Ted sandwich
Yo,
here. Let's see here.
let's do it. I need to scoot over a little bit. What's up? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, here we go. That's the one. Awesome. So for those of you that don't know who Matthew Beard is, he is our partner as well in a couple different businesses. So Matt, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. I'm excited. Any chance I get to come on here, I'm like, Mama, we made it, baby. We're on the show.
Love it. So we do, like I said, guys, we do have a special guest with us, with Matt as well, which is Ted Miller. So Ted got this North Carolina deal, and so what I'm gonna do, Matt, we're gonna be talking about a deal that Ted got in North Carolina. It's a subject to deal. We're gonna talk about, hey, where the heck did this deal come from? What do the general numbers look like, and why did that make sense as a deal, and more importantly, why did that maybe make sense for the seller to sell the deal on subject to terms? Because a lot of people talk about, well, why would a seller ever sell to you on subject to? That doesn't make any sense. So I would love to get into that too for a lot of people listening in. So Ted, welcome. We're excited to have you. Where are you tuning in from, man?
Well, thanks for having me. Tuning in from Durham, North Carolina.
Durham, North Carolina. Well, you're with us late. What is it, 9:06 there right now?
Yeah, but it's not too bad. I can stay up for you guys.
Love it. Well, hey, thank you for being here. So
Yeah,
let's
you were
go
at a
ahead.
mastermind, weren't you?
The mastermind?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there
Bro.
because of this deal.
So you guys are just cranking away now. You went to the mastermind and now you're just getting deals left and right, huh?
Yeah, pretty much after that.
I love it. So this is cool. I read the title, and this is Fayetteville, North Carolina. This is going to be cool to talk about. Ted, bro, tell us about it.
All right.
Yeah. So let's go. So sorry to interrupt, but where the heck did this deal come from? Like, what marketing channel? Was it a referral? Was it something you did direct marketing for? Like, let's break down, where did the deal come from? And, let's go into that.
So this deal came from squatting up, everything that you guys teach on this channel, Wholesale Hotline, and it's kind of like a mix between squatting up and like the Lanza method or the Pace method, dead wholesale leads.
Yeah.
So actually, I saw him in the comments, Chai Brown. He's a astro flipping student, and he gets constant deals from other wholesalers, agents, and options them out and tries to find buyers that way. And I'm friends with him, and I told him, I was like, hey, if you're getting horrible deals from wholesalers and they make no sense, you might as well have me reach out to those wholesalers to see if there's any type of like creative strategy that I could use or we could use to help solve a seller's problem or get a deal done. And that's pretty much how I found them. And
I love that, man.
What's that?
I love that. I said I love that. I think that's super creative. I think there's a lot of people in here right now, who in here in the comment section, who gets sent deals on a regular basis from other wholesalers? Probably like most of us, right? We all join a list of people, like other wholesalers send us deals trying to go wholesale. And 99% of the time, those deals are bad, right?
Yep.
99% of the time, like, yo, these prices are too high. But you
Yeah.
see it as an opportunity, right? An opportunity to come in with like a creative solution. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's exactly it. So, I mean, I do a lot more direct to seller, and he does a lot more, wholesalers, agents. So I was like, hey, why don't you work together and try and figure something out?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, they're like, well, what the heck is squatting up, and like the Lanza method, the Pace method, like what? Like, what are you talking about? For somebody that's like listening their first time, they're like, this guy's speaking another language here. Like, what does that mean? And easy to understand terms.
Well, squatting up is just simply just working with everyone else in your network, to find deals, work on deals, dispo deals, everything like that. And me and Chi are in the same area, both in Durham. We both had different strategies, and me and him just found ways to work together. We've done like 5 deals together, and pretty much all my deals have been squatting up in some aspect for the most part. So I think I've done like 1 deal where it's just me, and that's about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So so you got the deal from squatting up, and so what was the situation? Was it you said that some of those deals are coming from realtors or other wholesalers? So how did that come together? Like, what was the situation with the seller?
So this one was a pretty like crazy situation, and that's probably why Pace brought me on, and I brought it to his Q&A about it. So the situation was, Chi called me. He's like, "Oh man, this might be the worst deal I've ever seen, like for like an option." And then I call it's from a wholesaler, trying to wholesale a property for a cash price. And I think, for example, the estimate was like 205, and he had it locked up at like 196. And
so that's what we would call, my friends, a bad deal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so he gave me the number.
Or a trash deal.
Yeah, a horrible deal on the surface. Exactly. So he gives me the wholesaler's number. I think it was like the end of June, early July, and I call him. I'm like, "Hey man, this like doesn't make any sense for a cash deal. Like, is there a chance that I could talk to the seller, or we get something set up where I can see like what the situation is? Maybe there's like something creative there to make it work." And I got kind of blown off a little bit. Like, I got this handled, blah blah blah, and then just kind of went from there. And just to kind of keep the story going. I just followed up with him weekly as if he was like a seller, be like, "Yo, man, what's going on? What's up with that deal? Still need any help?" And sometimes pick up, but mostly I got ghosted. So about a month later, he calls me and goes, "Hey, Ted, you remember that deal you're talking about? You sounded like a nice guy. I don't want anything from it. I can't help the seller. I had some stuff come up in my life, all those type of things, and I think he kind of alluded to this already. This wasn't going to happen. And and then he gives me the seller's number, and I just give the seller a call. And I call her, and she's like a little suspicious about what's going on. And she's telling me, "Hey, I'm planning on we're supposed to be closing on Friday, and this is Tuesday of that same week, like the last week of July." So it was like he had her locked up for like way too high for so long, and
That's what I was gonna say. So he had this lady locked up for seems like well over a month at a price that he just couldn't pay. Was he like stringing her along or something? Or
yeah, I guess he was stringing her along, not keeping her up to date. And by the time I called her and I said, "Hey, this cash transaction is not going to happen," she was like, pretty devastated, but also saw the writing on the wall, because she was like, "I never heard any date for a closing date. Haven't heard from the attorney, anything along those lines." And I just had to like dive into her situation. And just to put it quickly, is she had already like packed up all her stuff from her house, put everything in storage. All she had left in her house was like a bed or a cot or something and a TV. And this is in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and she was actually planning to move to Phoenix.
Oh my gosh.
And she was going to be leaving in about, a week. And her daughter was coming from Phoenix to come pick her up, in Fayetteville after the house closed. And I had to, let her know that this is not going to happen the way your thing's going to happen. She was worried about losing her security deposit on her upcoming rental. And I just had to break down to her like, no one's going to buy it at this price right now. And then I find out that there's a mortgage there, and she just refinanced about a year ago.
Jeez.
On it. And
see, I think that gets lost sometimes, Ted. Not to cut you off, but I think that gets lost sometimes because we're dealing with real people in their real life. And she's doing her thing and she's moving on and getting her next step figured out. And we wonder why there's going to be more regulation put into the wholesale game. We wonder why there's going to be more regulation put in the real estate investing world that has just kind of been the wild, wild west for years and years. Like we're seeing it from cold calling, texting, and all the way up to how we contract properties, how we communicate with sellers is to avoid this kind of situation. Cause this lady was probably devastated. Like her next step of her life was like, okay, I got this thing done. And she's like, oh, they just need another week. Oh, they just need another week. And here they are, you're having to let her know, not even the other wholesaler, you're having to let her know it's not going to work out. And she's just been strung along for like 45 days.
Yeah, pretty much. And the part that so at the surface, it sounded like a good deal because I explained to her subject to, she was on board. She knew she had no time. And when I was going through it and she told me what her payments were per month, it was like super high. And her loan was like, she refinanced to like a 13 and a half year mortgage. And it just kind of like made it so there's not much cash flow no matter what you do. And even like a wrap would be pretty tough as well. And so that's when I brought this situation to Pace on our Q&A like that night to find out like, what would you recommend? And, I broke this like story down to Pace, and he got on the phone and called the seller like 10 o'clock at night. And pretty much telling me like, Ted, like this is crazy. Like I want to buy this deal after I showed him the house because it's a pretty nice house for sure. And yeah, she broke the story down to him, and Pace was just like, hey, I'm just looking to help. I'm partnering up with Ted on this one, and yeah, it was an incredible call. I think Pace had stuff on his YouTube for it, like just like snippets of the call.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what type of loan did she put it in? Since it was a shorter term, was that just like a regular conventional, but just shorter period?
It was actually a VA loan, and so I was looking. I'll just break some numbers down here. The PITI was roughly like $1,750 a month.
So for people that are like, what the heck is this guy talking about? PITI. That's your principal, your interest, your taxes, your insurance. That's all collected into one payment in your mortgage. So go ahead, Ted.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it was about, and then it was I forgot to mention, a VA loan. So the interest rate was like 2.75%. So wow. I knew it was, a great loan, and she had it for about a year. So you could pay off this house really quickly. The problem was for someone like me who was newer, I didn't have a ton of money to buy a deal like that, pay her the difference on everything and, move like lightning fast the way Pace could. And so that's why I brought it to you guys on that one, because I knew like for someone like you guys who have a bunch of properties, make a ton of money, having a property that, will appreciate and you also get a ton of depreciation from it made sense for someone that were in your guys' position.
Right. So, I'd say one of the lessons there is like, knowing your buyer, and, there's different buyers for different deals. And so I think that's, one of the biggest things about having a community around you. And that just goes to show, Ted, as far as, sometimes there's certain deals that you can sell to certain people because of things that they're trying to accomplish. Like where you mentioned appreciation, trying to reach a lower tax rate by, utilizing that property to purchase and getting that depreciation done. So, there's all sorts of buyers for all different types of deals, whether that's going to convert to Airbnb, convert to rental, or like you said, wrap maybe, or lease option. So, but at the end of the day, it comes down to like knowing that who that buyer avatar could be for that potential deal.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it goes both ways, right? The same way that you would utilize the community. First off, like who in here, everybody watching and Ted, like we can all agree, like this community is freaking dope, right? This is like the best community in real estate. Like, hell yes, this is amazing. Because like you like Ted said, he's gotten one deal just on his own. Everything else has been squatting up. That's crazy. That is just insane. So the same way that you guys can utilize the community, that's like, we're not just talking about coming in the comment section and saying squat up just to squat up or posting the Facebook group just to do it. Like, you are missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars by not doing it. Right. So in the same token of utilizing community and reaching out to each other, and maybe, so Ted is your guy in like North Carolina to help you work your dead leads. Right. And then maybe you have someone else that can help you, like whatever that is, but you have these people in your corner that can help you convert on these deals. And in the same token, on the front end is the conversion. You got people in the community, and on the back end, what Cody is saying, you got to have your buyers. You got to know, like, who are you going to sell that deal to? Who buys the wraps? Who buys these? Who needs some depreciation this year? I know I need some more. Like, who needs these things, right? And you have these end buyers. So in both ways, like, you can use the community to do like two birds, one stone, right?
100%. So obviously that's kind of what the deal, situation looked like. So catch us up to speed on like how the rest of the deal like shook out. Like what were the next steps that happened from there? What ended up happening with the seller? Let us know.
So what happened is that night, Pace called the seller at 10 o'clock. She broke down everything, and it was a great call, like I said. And then the next day he locked her up, at a price, and, pretty much solved her problem about what to do and help with all the moving expenses and everything like along those lines. And like for me, I would say it was like my easiest deal ever working with like buyers like you guys, because I was just kind of like taken out of the picture like so fast, because I didn't lock up the deal, because I had to make sure it made sense first before I was another person putting that seller in a bad spot. And so I guess what happened after that, like a few weeks later, I just didn't hear from Pace. And I sent him emails like, hey, Pace, whatever happened with that deal? Did that thing ever close? Because I had people asking me like, hey, Ted, what happened with that deal? Or I was like, I don't even know. And so on one of his Q&As, he's like, hey, Ted, what's going on? You're looking to get paid. And I was just like, I guess. And he like negotiates me like so hard. Like my girlfriend's like in the background just being like, oh my God, take whatever he says. And I'm sure like Pace could tell in a different way, because I was just like dying on this side. But everyone in the comments was like, Ted, stay strong, like negotiate with Pace. And then Kevin Cho was like, ask for the mastermind. And then eventually, like, pretty much Pace, I just like, all right, I'll take the mastermind, I can go out there. And he pays my mastermind, sends me out there. I meet you guys. So because of this deal, and then he still pays me like a nice assignment fee just for the situation. So like it worked out like so great for me. And I know for the seller, like I know Pace solved her problem. She moved there. She got paid roughly the difference of what she would make anyway. And she didn't lose her security deposit, which she was worried about. And like, I don't know, it was so, everything happened so fast. It was like insane. Like for me, just not knowing what was going to happen at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so freaking cool.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Because it's like, not only did you help the seller, right? And obviously you had to be, pretty diligent on your follow-up, working leads, and like how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And that wholesaler felt your energy. Is like, dude, I'm just trying to help, right? And he felt like you're the guy to help solve this seller's problem when he couldn't. And then by you being persistent and just showing up and having these conversations and being like, sometimes in this real estate world, we got to be able to have tough conversations with sellers. Sometimes we got to tell them when they're being unreasonable. Sometimes we got to tell them like, hey, this number isn't going to work. Like in the perfect world, like, yes, I wish I could give you that, but here's what we're up against. Right. And then working together. And that's exactly what you did with the seller. You brought Pace in, and then not only did you help her, like you got a pretty, like, I don't even know, Pace structuring, like in doing that negotiation with you is so cool to be like, yeah, we'll give you assignment. We'll fly you out. You come to the mastermind. Craziness.
Yeah. It was pretty incredible.
Pretty dang good deal there.
Yep.
I love that. That's so awesome. So now that deal's done, squatting up. So just recapping for everybody, as we have had more people tuning in, is Ted got a subject to deal. Another wholesaler locked up too high. The seller's life was basically about to be in shambles because they were going to back out of the deal. Ted was able to get Pace involved with him working this deal, turned it into a subject to deal on with 13 years on the loan, VA loan, less than 3% interest on this. Like, this seems like a pretty awesome deal all around. Ted got an assignment fee on it and got invited to come to the mastermind with us, which, I mean, man, like that's just that's a cool story.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. And during the negotiations, he like convinced me it was such a bad deal and like I shouldn't get anything until I like, until I ran into him at a North Carolina meetup, and he was like, Ted, I just sold the house the first time. It's awesome. Like I could just sell it now for $40,000, like something crazy like that. So, I was like, man, you saw me playing. I still thought it was a bad deal.
So, oh my gosh. Hey, get creative, right?
Yep.
The same way you got the deal creatively, you were able to creatively get, your assignment fee, which was so dope. I mean, and then coming out and being around, like just going into the mastermind and you being there. I know we did a hot seat, like kind of broke down what you wanted your internal business to look like and in deals. So like catch us up to speed. Like what has happened since you came out? Because that mastermind was what, guys? Was that in September or like October?
3 months ago.
3 months ago, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was amazing, especially being around everyone. I see Justin in the comments. Me and him squad up in some deals since then. He's in Massachusetts. I'm down here. But I mean, pretty much like my biggest takeaway is just seeing how you guys, like the way that only way to like pull yourself out of like the business is have a direct to seller business. So in my business, I'm very much in the business, with direct to seller, and also doing different type of referrals, different JVs. But I knew that if I wanted to pull myself out of like the day-to-day grind of like wholesaling and creative finance, I'd have to like create a direct to seller business that kind of stands on its own. And that was like, I didn't realize that until I saw your guys' business and you kind of like broke down how it works. And I was like, it was mind blowing that that's what you have to do to pull yourself out of it, because everything else is all. I mean,
100%. I think, referrals, like you're going to be the face of that, right? When people want to send you business, they want you to JV. They want Ted. We want Ted on the phone.
Where's Ted at?
Ted making the phone calls, right? But what doesn't require Ted is a scalable direct to seller. Like, yes, it's challenging, and make no mistake about it. It is very much a hustle to try to get that going, right? There's no way around that. Like, look, this business is super lucrative. You can make a bunch of money if you're willing to work. But the thing is, you got to show up every day, right, Ted?
Yeah. Oh, yep. Oh, yeah. Still have to. I'm building it slowly.
Yes, exactly, and be okay with that too, because it does take some time. Like you might be busting it for the next 12 months to set up these systems, but once it's in place, like you'll be patting yourself on the back. It's like, thank you, previous Ted. Thanks for doing this.
Yes, that patience and persistence. So I think this is an interesting call, because I think Ted could probably give a lot of good insight to the folks listening in. And if you guys are cool with it, what I would love to do is ask Ted if he could go back to like when he was first starting and just talk about some of the things that he would maybe do differently, or the things that he did that he saw that made sense and were valuable for him and his journey in real estate investing. Just because I know there's a lot of people on here. Like, I know for me, when I was listening to a lot of different podcasts when I was, getting started in real estate, I was always like looking for those things of like, how do I shortcut, my way to be more successful? Or how do I make sure I avoid some of those things that I'm going to waste time on that I shouldn't be? Or what are some of those things that I can, get those nuggets to be able to take action on, right? So I would love to be able to ask you, to get some of that insight, and then Matt, you as well, and maybe if you had some questions for Ted too. So I'm just gonna start with one. So Ted, what if you could go back and give yourself the question? If you could go back to when you first started in real estate investing, what would be like the top, let's say like 1 or 2 pieces of advice you would have given yourself now being where you're at in the business?
Well, this is so easy. It would be two sets of advice. It'd be squatting up right away, find someone to work with and help you out. And then the thing that's probably more specific instead of trying to figure out wholesaling by yourself, I would say work for someone who's more established and just call their leads. Be a lead manager. Get on the phone and just like talk to like warm leads and just see how you do and just kind of work that system until you can start to close deals. Because I mean, I was like shiny object syndrome with wholesaling. Out door knocking one day, cold calling another day, just trying to find anything until I actually got my first deal from like kind of like a mixture of a door knock plus mixing. Actually, the guy who got me the lead, Chi Brown, he knew a guy down the street who knew the seller who I tried the door knock, and I got connected that way. And that was like how I got my first deal. So it was like, I would say if I could go back, work for someone else who's more established, find a wholesaler who needs help. I need help someone calling my leads because I'm a lot more busy. I would just try and stay focused. Pick one thing.
Up.
Yeah,
squatting up and working with someone else. So I already saw someone in the comments is like, work for someone. I already do that. So I just want to, and tell me if I'm right on this, because I want to make sure I understood you. The way that I heard you saying of like working for somebody, working with somebody, and like working with some of their leads, the reason you're doing that is so that you can get faster feedback, right? Like where like you call some leads, you maybe mess something up or you don't know what you should do next. And that individual that maybe provided those leads can say, hey, Ted, with that particular situation, here's how you want to handle that to set up that appointment, or here's how to, have that conversation a little bit differently. Is that what you mean? Or are you just meaning you should just go work for someone else forever?
Definitely the first way. So I know you guys deal with it. Like, you have acquisition people that come in and they're there for like, a couple months, 6 months, and they leave and do something else. That's what I'm saying, that if you want to get into this business and you don't know where to start, you don't want to do lead generation, something that I don't really like doing much at all. I would say find someone who needs help with their sellers. I know there's plenty of people around that have a whole bunch of leads and they're following up with leads, but they need more time. They'd rather be closing deals than just checking up on a lead and saying getting close to ready to sell. And just because you definitely need to practice talking to as many people as you can until you can actually start to do more deals.
Yes.
And so
Love that. Matt, what questions do you have for Ted? I want to see what you got for him on that, for like some of these people and that maybe in some of those beginning stages as well.
Yeah. So Ted, whenever you first start networking, what is the value? Like, what is the thing that you do whenever you're trying to start that new relationship? Just think back before Ted had gotten a single deal, before this one, before anything. Like when you say squatting up, like what does that actually look like?
Man, I wish I would have known what I know now, because I would have been doing it a lot faster. I didn't do any squatting up. I squatted with one person, just me and him were helping each other out. So I was like probably scared to like reach out to people because I probably didn't have an abundance mindset.
Right. So then this is the reason why I asked this, because I feel like there's a lot of people on this call right now that may have that imposter syndrome, right? You watch all the things, you watch all the YouTube videos, maybe you're even in the mentorships, you're in the Facebook groups and you're learning, right? But then you're afraid because you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be able to give back? Right. So looking back to what you know now, right? Like, because I feel like there's a lot of people. Does anyone on this call have that fear? Does anyone on this call right now, like, you feel like, I don't know what I'm going to bring to a relationship? Ted, what would you say?
What I could have said is like, hey, can I call some of your sellers so I can get some practice and you can tell me what you do after you lock it up or where to lock up the deal at? Because sometimes you just don't even know. So it's kind of like, do you go for sellers? Do you go for buyers? Like, it's kind of confusing. But if you work with someone who already has buyers and knows where to lock it up, it's so much easier for you to have like an end goal in place when you are talking to a seller to know like, all right, well, I got to have the seller right around here, because if not, you're going to be stuck where that one guy was in the story where he locked it up close to Zillow.
Oh, that's so good. So here's something interesting, Ted, is we see in the comments, we're getting lots of the people that feel that imposter syndrome. Yes, Amanda says me. Kenneth that says, yes, I don't know what I can bring. JC says, yes. Callie, me to a T. Brian, let's squat up. Tony Johnson. Rudy says, that's me. So many people are feeling that same way. So, some that insight on, hey, you can call their leads. Like here's the thing is, finding some other investors that are doing some deals in your local market that you can go and link up with. You may have to reach out to a few of them, but finding how you can bring value to them and working their leads, like literally calling their old leads, right? So say if literally you could be in this position where you're like, I'm not really great on the phone. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really know everything about this business. I don't know how I can help somebody. I can say this for our business is if somebody, we have a bunch of acquisition people now, so we don't need this in our business currently right now. But like, say, rewind a couple of years back in our business, if someone had approached us, and a lot of investors that maybe are doing a few deals a month, is they have old leads. If somebody came to us and said, hey, can I call your leads that are like a year or older? Your leads that they never converted, they came through as a lead, but just never turned into anything. Like those old leads can be revived and turned into new deals. And that's where there could be some good practice. And I know for us, like we wouldn't be having our acquisition people, if a lead was pretty much close to dead and it was just, in the year-old stuff in our system, I would be happy to have somebody call those leads. Here's an example, actually. There was a guy named Jake who had reached out to Matt and myself, and he wanted to, work with us. And I'm like, dude, like we don't have any place for you. We have the people that we need in our business. We don't need to add anyone else right now. And so he just was persistent. And I'm like, man, what the heck am I going to do with this guy? And he was a realtor. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give you a test. I'm going to give you a bunch of our old shit leads that never converted into anything. And if you can go try to get some appointments and get a listing out of it, pay us a referral, and then we'll continue a conversation. And maybe in a couple months we could, work on something together or see how we can get you involved with us. And me fully expecting that he'll never respond and he'll quit and complain that the leads were shit and it's my fault.
99% of people.
99% of people. So I was fully expecting never to hear back from him. If Jake is ever listening to this, you proved me wrong. He ended up working those leads, and he called me like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, hey, I got a listing. I got the contract. I just wanted to know how I set up the referral fee with you guys. And I was like, you called the leads? Like,
unbelievable. Yeah, like, and I think the moral to that, Cody, is that it's just so stinking hard. I wouldn't say it's so hard. It's just like bandwidth and energy. So you guys think about people like Ted, right, or people who are doing deals in your market. Think about where their bandwidth and energy is being spent. They don't have time to hold someone's hand, but it's tough to find people that will be consistent. It's tough to find people that will show up and do the work. So if you were like, I don't know anything, and this is how I met with Cody and Pace. This is how I started our relationship. I didn't know much about the wholesaling world, but look, there's a lot of people that are afraid to talk to sellers. There's a lot of people that they haven't gotten started because they won't get on the phone or they won't knock on the door. If you're thinking about what value you can bring to a relationship without even knowing anything, it's, do you have some courage? Do you want to do some things that other people don't want to do? Right? Because I can guarantee you that you can find someone that can help, with the marketing systems and generating leads. That's a dime a dozen, right? But finding someone who wants to do the things that makes just about anyone uncomfortable and be a little fearless, like that alone is super valuable, even when you don't know anything, because you can learn this, you can learn the skills, you can learn the things over time by messing up. But if you're just willing to do it, like that's infinitely valuable in my book.
100%. It's the just taking action, really. It's like just doing the dang thing. And something that I'm always preaching. I was telling my girlfriend Hael this earlier. She's building her business, and she gets impatient. And I'm just like, it's just patience and persistence. Like patience and persistence. Like that would be like my battle cry if I had one. It's just patience and persistence. Everything is going to take longer than you thought. Everything is going to cost more money than you thought. You're going to make
harder than you thought.
It's going to be harder than you thought. Your plan's going to get screwed up along the way. You're going to make a new plan. That one's going to get screwed up along the way. But through all of it, staying patient and persistent through that, you get your life in a point where you get to live a great life, like the life that you deserve and that you're striving for. So I actually want to ask you this, Ted. What's that look like for you? You know, do you know what you want your real estate business to be able to do for you? Like what you want your life to look like from this business?
Man, so it's hard to say because it's just like I'm still like in the grind stage where I'm every day just grinding away. But it's just I want to turn into something where it's a little bit more self-sufficient, where I'm not in it every day, and I can generate some more money, continue to start to buy properties instead of having to wholesale them, instead of flipping them. I have a flip coming up, and I'm very tempted to keep it, but I know getting that big check will do more for my business than it will be, doing some like cash out refi and getting like my money back. So it's more appointed where I get to keep growing my business, and eventually live more off of having properties rather than, trying to wholesale like for a couple $1,000s in some rural market in North Carolina.
Okay. So what that looks like is having your passive income be able to, pay for your lifestyle, at that kind of that financial independence number. Here's something that I would suggest if you haven't done it, Ted, is I'm not going to ask you to say the amount, but do you know how much you'd have to make for you and your wife, you said, right?
Girlfriend. Yeah.
Girlfriend. So do you know what, how much money that you need to make every single month to pay for all those bills down to like, that dollar amount? Because when people are like, oh, $5,000 a month, it's like, hey, my bills ain't $5,000 a month. It's usually like $5,227 to get all the bills. Like, do you know what that number is for like that monthly nut?
It's where I'm at is not much because like my first real estate deal I bought on market, I bought a house in Durham, and me and my girlfriend, we live in the bottom unit and we rent out the rooms upstairs. So I virtually live for free. I got 3 bedrooms with 3 full bathrooms and rent them out. And I bought this house and now I can go after these dreams because I don't need that much money. So I was able to take a while to get my first deal, and
Amazing.
so and anything I make, if I'm having a slow month, I'll just eat more ramen and rice, but stuff like that. But I can still afford it because my tenant or my roommate / tenants are paying for my house where I can live.
I love that.
I mean, I know we want to move out of here and get our next one and then rent this part out. Mm-hmm. So I just got to find my next seller finance deal because I know a bank's not going to give me a loan.
Yeah, I love that. So I would suggest figuring out what that, for where you want to be living, and then all of your other, cost of living, right, added on that. But figuring out what that is and, having that as a target that you can look at. Because oftentimes we get into the mundane of the day-to-day and we aren't looking at like where we're actually heading. So then you could be, tracking that progress as you go along. And I want to encourage everybody else that's on here as well is, if like what you want that cash flow goal to be on a monthly basis, having that number so that you can be checking it off. Like I get excited as I'm setting my cash flow goals when I'm able to check off like, oh, another couple $100 a month in cash flow from this, another couple $100 a month in cash flow. Like as that starts to stack, like you get to watch that progress. And as you get closer to what you want what you want that to look like. So I would just suggest doing that. But I love that you're doing freaking house hacking and having roommates pay for that. That's what I did on my first 2 houses. My first place was a 3-2. I rented the other 2 bedrooms. I lived in the master bedroom, and I literally, I paid like $100 a month out of my pocket. It's amazing. I did the same thing on like a 4.5 on my next place. After that, you know, I started acquiring other properties and eventually, you know, just kind of wanted to live on my own. But that foundation is such a cheat code when you're, you know, getting a business up and running, is you have that flexibility of, you don't need to be making a ton of money because you have a lot of those basic needs covered, like you're doing. Like that is probably one of the most overlooked things, that if people have the opportunity to do that, it's harder when people have a family with kids and all that. But when they're in that position that you're in and not taking advantage of it, I'm like, that's just silly to not do what you're doing. So freaking great job on that.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't be here without it, because I would have to have, because I got laid off like during COVID, and after I just bought this house, so I was like, all right, well, I don't want to work for anyone again. And thank God I just closed about a month prior to losing my job, so I just dove in all out for this, and I'm glad I was laid off. It was awesome.
Funny what happens when you go all in, right?
Yeah.
You sit there with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's just so tough to get any momentum. But you go all in, man. It's crazy what can happen. And I love that. Like Cody's super diligent with that kind of stuff, with managing his financing and managing the money. Because Cody, what do you say? Whenever you don't know, you know, you have money sitting in your bank account and you don't know where it's really going,
it's gonna find a new home. It's gonna
find a new home. That's right.
Probably not a home that you want it to be in.
AKA Uber Eats. That's where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But it's important. Like I even with, you know, knowing Cody and, you know, with some of his guidance, man, being super specific, I know to the dollar with all my subscriptions and everything, what exactly I need to pay for every single month. And then it helps because every single dollar you get in cash flow, you're that much closer to that goal in being completely independent, right? Or financially free. So that's awesome, man. I think that's a great goal. So are you buying something in Durham then? You're looking for something right now, seller finance?
Yeah, I am. I have a flip coming up here in Durham, but man, I'm looking for more deals. In Durham, like any subject to deals, seller finance deals in Durham, I'll buy them. For sure. Or if you need help with the seller around here, like I'm looking to move. I mean, I like my house. My girlfriend doesn't like it as much. But yeah, it's something where I'd house hack again. I love house hacking.
Usually the girlfriends don't like it. I know mine were always like, why do we have roommates? I'm like, I'm house hacking.
Yeah.
You don't get it. Like,
I bought this house sub too, and it needed some work, and my wife was like, it doesn't look like the models.
we can go live in one of those model homes. I'm like, we can, but we're giving up today for what we could have tomorrow.
Right.
Exactly.
Sometimes hard to get across.
Read the Daily Stoic. I love it, man.
Yes. So Matt, do you have any other, you know, final, I guess, questions or any final thoughts for everybody? And, you know, I think we'll wrap it up here. If not,
yeah, I think no matter where you guys are at, you know, I definitely agree with Ted here that it's so important to squad up. It's so important to find like-minded people. Don't ostracize yourself. Don't put yourself on an island. Because look, the reality is, like, this business is tough to get into. It's tough to be consistent. But once you start getting deals in, it changes everything. We call it the Campfire Effect, right? Come be around people that are actually doing deals. Don't waste your time with people that are just talking about doing deals, or, oh, well, if we did this with this lead and this, and it never happens, it's just a waste of time, right? We're here to make some money. I don't know who is watching this because they want to make more money. Who wants to make more money next year than what they did this year, right? We're here to make some freaking money. So be around people that are making money. Be around people that are doing deals just like Ted. So Ted, like, how does someone reach out to you? How can they send you deals? Like, what does that look like?
They could reach out to me. I think I put my phone number in here somewhere. You could text me. If you
put it in the comments real quick, and then I'll tag it up here.
I know how to put it in the comment.
All right, let's just say it out loud, and I'll type it for you.
All right, 610.
610.
Yep, 246.
Okay.
2880.
2880.
Yep. And then you can find me on Facebook. I do have an Instagram. I need to start using that more. But yeah, Ted Miller on Facebook. You can reach out to me there. And then just like anyone who's like still really new, I would say like there's so many the most surprising thing about this business is how helpful everyone is when they're like successful. Like I'm sure if I asked for help more, people would have given me more help when I was first starting. And I know like I'll help people. I know sub 2 students will love to help people, especially if those newer people come to them looking to take action. Like, hey, can I call some of your old leads or or something, help you with your data? I don't know, but if you come there with value and looking to help, I'm sure there's going to be tons of people in these comments who need help, and because they're just they're stretched so thin.
So 100%.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I put your phone number up there. Let's just remind everyone what they can reach out to you, or like what market you're in. So are you primarily just in North Carolina, so people know, and someone doesn't send you a deal in like Fargo, North Dakota or something?
Yeah. I'm in North Carolina. I've done all my deals here. And yeah, I can help with deals in like the Durham, Raleigh area, even the rural areas. I know how to like dispo them with like different type of like buyers who buy out there, like Hispanic buyers or doing wraps, like creative deals out there in rural areas. So I know I've helped other like sub 2 students with those type of deals because I have some people I work with that help me dispo them.
Matt, don't we have a deal in North Carolina somewhere? Is that South Carolina? I don't know, and I don't
Yeah,
know
we
what's
got
going
2.
on.
We got one in Goldsboro, and we got one. I don't even Goldsboro. I don't know how that happened. And then we also have one in Hendersonville. So we'll definitely hit you up, Ted. I think, and even if I'm sure if people text you, and I think courtesy, real quick, full disclosure, everyone, real quick. I guess etiquette for reaching out to Ted for what we see. Please introduce yourself. Please say your name. Don't just say, hey, saw you on Sunday service, right? Just say, hey. And it seems dumb that I have to say this, but guys, you'd be freaking blown away by how many text messages that we get from people. I don't even know who they are. They don't even introduce yourself. So introduce yourself to Ted. And I'm sure even if you may not have a deal in North Carolina, I'm sure Ted can connect you with someone. If he's unable to help, I'm sure he's able to connect you with someone who can.
Yep. I'll find someone in your market in North Carolina who could help you better than I could.
Bam.
100%. Love it. Ted, thank you so much for coming on. Matt, thank you so much for being here as well. We are excited. We're actually going into this week. We have our next mastermind actually this upcoming weekend. Crazy month. We're closing on a new office building. We'll probably do a YouTube video once we close on that this week, so you guys can check that out. Super excited about that. But once again, everybody, as always, again, we are on Spotify and iTunes. Search Sunday Service on there so you can listen while you're driving to or from work. And if you've got any value, make sure that you're liking, subscribing, comments, and all those good things, sharing on your Instagram, your social medias, that for the value that we're bringing. And if you're not already, make sure to join the Creative Finance with Pace and Cody Facebook group. You can jump in there, get involved in the community, get connected with some other awesome investors. So with that, happy Sunday, everybody. Have an amazing, productive week this week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Peace.